Hello there, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I hope you are doing well. If you're just landing on the channel, my name is Afefe, Afefe. Somebody told me the translator can mess that up, Google Translator. So my name is Afefe, and I'm with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. Happy to have you here. Hope you stick around and hit that like and subscribe button. My subscribers, thank you, thank you, thank you. Always glad to have you here. Appreciate you so much, and I appreciate your support for the channel. So, a lot I want to get to today. Oh, and people say, wait a minute, you forgot some things, because you get used to my introduction if you're not familiar with me. In addition to reading tarot, I am a former newspaper journalist, so it kind of gives you an idea of how I approach my spiritual readings. I try to get my facts straight, halfway know what I'm talking about before I go to the cards, and we get a deeper context and insight from spirit about what the heck is going on. I'm also an initiated priestess in both African and Wiccan traditions, so I got a lot going on. I try to use it all to give you some good content here on the channel. Let's get to some good stuff today, you all. As always, there's no shortage of what's happening in the political realm. I had spirit was giving me, I was, talking with my guides. How did you all feel about the Met Gala? Not only was it just, amazing, but when we look at things in a political context right now, you all, with all of the deliberate efforts to erase culture, right? All cultures, anything that's not, MAGA centric. So we know what's happening with, attacking museums and education and public schools and all of that. Anything to erase any kind, under the guise of DEI or anti-DEI. I thought the Met Gala came at that in spades. The theme of dandyism or black dandies. Oh my gosh, you all. So I saw that through sort of a broader lens, and not to mention we saw who showed up. Kamala Harris, looking absolutely stupendous. She forwent. Is that a word? Forwent. She didn't show up on the stairs and make the grand entrance. She went in a different way. But we saw, there's lots of images of her out there looking absolutely radiant. So again, that made me think, not that she did it necessarily for political reasons, but any place Kamala Harris shows up, hey, we know who she is, right? We know what's what. So that made me think, there's been this whole, hashtag resistance, right? And there are people who have said, interestingly, we don't know if we want to call it a resistance, because resistance repeats the energy spiritually, repeats the energy in the cycle of having something to keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting. I thought, wow, okay, my guides gave me the word resilience, because the last thing I want to say about this is we've acknowledged respect to all people, all faiths, all cultures, all ethnicities on this channel, on this platform. I invite it all. I love it all. But we recognize that in terms of the 50-51 protests and other protests that are going on around the country, thank goodness, and the town halls, etc., that people of color are not showing up, and that is for very real reasons, which is we know that the minute we do, here come the tear gas and the riot, the riot gear, and possibly people being harmed, et cetera, et cetera. And that is in many people, not just me and what I'm getting in my guidance, but many people have said that is why a lot of these protests have been so far peaceful and without major incident, because as soon as people of color show up, they're going to send out all sorts of tactical gear and snipers and whatever else. It's going to get ugly. So resilience. And I don't know exactly what was on Anna Wintour's mind when the committee got together. We know that Pharrell has the Midas touch. Anything he touches turns to gold. It was just an absolutely phenomenal event. And how about Diana Ross, 80 years old, showing up looking like a dream, with that I think it was an 18-foot train on her dress. Wow. Okay. So think about resilience, you all, as a political movement. And of course, as soon as I start talking and taping, here comes the landscapers with their buzzsaw. So I apologize if you get any, hopefully you're not hearing it, but if you do, that's what's happening in the background. All right, I want to talk a little bit, you all, about what's happening with federal judges who are increasingly saying, these folks y'all got showing up from the Department of Justice to try and justify these executive orders and what's, they are some of the sloppiest, most inept. Are you picking them up off the street? Like, what is happening? For entertainment purposes only, I gotta say that. But what made me think of that was, if you all saw that 60-minute segment on Sunday with Marc Elias, right? Democracy Docket, one of the absolute, of all these big firms, nobody wanted to go on. All right, are we surprised anymore that they punked out? No. But it was still a really good segment. I'd love to hear your comments and your reactions to that. But here's what I'm thinking, you all, that there really is, I'm getting from Spirit, there really is a tide turning, that when it lands, when that tide, that water washes on the steps of SCOTUS, of the Supreme Court, it's going to become harder and harder and harder for them to find anything based in law or fact to back up what F47 is doing, or I call them FDT, fake, felon, fraud, F, right? All right. So I want to see if, in fact, the courts are holding, if this is something where SCOTUS is recognizing that you have such a broad bipartisan base in the federal judiciary that's saying, nothing you attorneys are showing up from Pam Bondi's crew. Nothing you all are even saying is making any sense. Oh my gosh, cards just went everywhere. Spirit must got something to say, you all, today on this. All right, let's get it straightened out. Get my clothes back straight. But I in all seriousness, y'all, it's almost as if the federal system, the federal judges are forcing SCOTUS's hand and saying, there's no, we're going to sit back and eat our popcorn and watch what you come up, because some of these things we know are headed to the Supreme Court. Some of these decisions will be decided there, deportation, etc. Seven of Swords, exactly. The lies. They're exposing the lies. These federal judges, they're exposing the lies. And they're saying none of this, you're sending the Department of Justice is sending attorneys here who absolutely are making baseless and dumb arguments. It's not happening. And temperance, exactly. The bipartisan nature of these judges. So you can't say these are left-wing lunatic judges. No, these are respected members who sit on the courts across the country in many of the different districts. And the Knight of Cups, that tidal wave, go headed towards the Supreme Court, you all. Keep your eye on that. I know so much of this is disheartening. And the King of Pentacles, I feel like that might even be Robert's. Am I right about that, Spirit? Is that representing Robert's? Two of Swords, very, very conflicted. Yeah, it's coming at him. It's coming at him. And the thing is, I think what Spirit gave this is in saying, keep an eye out on this, you all, is because it's not just the Marc Eliases of the world and Democracy Docket. It's not just the advocacy and groups. It's not just the ACLU, etc., who are making these arguments. Now you've got a broad base of very well respected members of the judiciary who are saying, come on, y'all, come on. All right. So the tide is turning. Watch that. All right. Moving on. June 14th, military parade. $150 million is the last figure I heard that he's planning to spend on this. $150 million. Now, your kids and your grandkids can't have but $2, and God only knows if they're going to be able to get back to school supplies, but we got $150 million easy that we can go ahead and spend on this military parade, right? 6,000 troops, tanks, fighter jets, not to mention the cost to house, these. Anyway, so in response, we have also No King's Day that is coming up. Now, the tie-in that I'm getting is also in preparation for that. Hegseth has come out and said there's calling for a 20% cut in generals and admirals within the military. Generals and admirals. So he's saying, less generals, more GIs, right? You all, I'm getting from Spirit, this is what we're going to look at. I'm getting that FDT is starting to get really concerned and afraid of a takeover. That generals and admirals who are respected and have the respect and command the respect of the military ranks, that if this thing continues to go way off the cliff, and it's time for somebody to stand up and take over and perhaps escort him out the premises for entertainment purposes only. You gotta do it. That's part of the plan. You got to get rid of the top brass. You got to get rid of those whose command could be obeyed over ours. Spirit, is that what's happening? Is that part of this plan behind Pete Hegseth calling for a 20% cut in generals and admirals in the military? Is the plan to get rid of those who could have influence over the ranks? Influence to perhaps take over if the need arises. The Two of Swords, there's the conflict. And Seven of Cups, that's the different branches of the military, and recognizing that people are having, increasingly members of the military are having very, very conflicted feelings about the leadership and about whose command they really should obey if it comes down to that. And here comes the Hermit. All right, ruled by Virgo. The Hermit is about the truth, about the hard work. It is about the military when you think about the function of getting things in order, things being done the right way. Very, very Virgo energy here, right? Things have to be done the right way, efficiently. And the Hermit will not hesitate to go its own way if it needs to. So yes, I'm seeing that as a definite confirmation from Spirit, you all, that he's worried that he's losing his grip over the command of the military, and certainly can't rely on Hegseth to command that kind of respect, right? Certainly. A couple of more cards, you all. Spirit, is that what's happening? Seven of Wands. The sense that things are building up, that there is resistance within the ranks building up, and this is also a card of courage and bravery. The idea that these generals and admirals would be willing to stand up in the face of, okay, absolutely, he's gone off the cliff, his cognitive decline, literally insane, and somebody having to step up and do something about it. That's that Seven of Wands energy. Ooh, Queen of Swords. Who is that, Spirit? Queen of Swords. That feels like somebody, and the Page of Cups, somebody inept. Somebody, this is somebody else within his cabinet, within military, or would try to step up and assist Hegseth. But again, it's this sense of not knowing what they're doing. And hold up, Spirit, is this a woman within those ranks who might step up and be Three of Swords? No. Okay, Three of Swords just came. No, this is not a woman within the military. This is someone within his cabinet who's going to step up and say, ooh, we see that we're in trouble. Try and spin it. Like, oh, don't worry about it, you all, because this would be enlistees. This would be younger members of the military, or the rank and file. There's somebody's going to try and assist Hegseth to sell it. And say, oh no, this is just business as usual. Four of Wands, exactly. And Four of Wands is like coming together, celebration, completion, commitment to the way things are. But Spirit, ultimately, is this being done? Please confirm this is being done because he's afraid. He's afraid of the takeover. I'm done. We can move on now, y'all. The Tower. Okay? The Tower. That's exactly it. I knew it. I felt it in my spirit that that's what's up. Hegseth was given this directive to do this because, again, it's all about dismantling so that as things proceed, there's fewer and fewer capable people who could step in and say, you know who I am, I'm a known quantity, here is my directive, here's what I'm telling you to do. That's the plan. I don't know how far the plan is going to get, you all. So much of this is it's just going to start to crumble. Just crumble. I'm getting that so deeply in my spirit, and I hope you are as well. My God's a light. I know the whole resilience, right? We started talking about resilience earlier, okay? So that, and as a quick aside, not going to read on it, but talking about resilience and things crumbling, did you all hear that, I don't know his name, I can't remember his name, but the CEO of Target, his pay has been cut by 45%, right? Because of the billionaire backlash and the pullback from shopping at Target, online and in person, otherwise the boycotting Target stores. 45% the CEO of Target's pay just got cut. Billionaire backlash. All right. Finally, I want to close out today. So notice how quiet all of a sudden Elon has been, right? They're kind of getting him off center stage deliberately. But I had been seeing, and many of you perhaps as well, seeing stories that said, "Don't let that fool you. He hasn't gone anywhere. That him and FDT are still like this, right?" But what happened was, we know Tesla, right? And even talk about removing him from Tesla's board, etc. So what I'm getting you all is Starlink is next up to bat. And what FDT did was just pull him to the side and say, listen, I know you're taking a hit on Tesla. Sorry about that, dude. But we got you on Starlink. So we keep hearing tariff deals on the way. Tariff deals on the way. You're going to hear about it any second now. You're going to hear about it, right? I'm also getting and have seen some stories, you all, that part of what they're doing is they're trying to get these countries, in order to enter a deal, to agree to have Starlink, to let Starlink come in, and that would be part of the deal, the agreement to pull back the tariffs, right? I want to get confirmation of that, because that's payback for him. And not only that, would that be payback money, but that's, whoa, I mean, Starlink. We've heard a lot of stories about potentially what Starlink had to do with the outcome of the 2024 election. Allegedly, supposedly, for entertainment purposes only, right? So Starlink, in various countries, they got to agree to that, to allow Elon to come in there with Starlink, monitoring their systems, etc. 9 of Swords came up at the bottom of the deck. Scrambling. Because I mean, he lost a heck of a lot of money. Still, billions, but left. But he's lost a lot of money. The Chariot. How do we move into these other countries? Global domination. Ten of Cups. Again, how do we spread Starlink globally? What's the muscle? What's the leverage? What's the leverage that we have to do that? 4 of Cups almost feels like he's not going to get what he wants from it, or the buy-in to that, countries saying, oh, okay, that's all we got to do. Cool. Tell Elon, send his folks over and pull back those tariffs. Let's do business. Not so sure about that with the 4 of Cups. And the 3 of Cups comes as well. A lot of water is here. 10 of Cups, 10 of Cups, 3 of Cups, and 4 of Cups. And when you think about it, the Chariot is ruled by Cancer, also a water sign. Is Elon Musk a Cancer? Or must have a lot of Cancer in his chart? Somebody will say in the comments. But what I'm getting from all of this, you all, is there's a build up toward it. It is what they're pushing for. It is what they're trying to get moving. That is the offer, the deal that's being made. And that's part of what what FDT's been doing to try and keep Elon settled down. Like, don't worry, don't panic. But Ten of Wands, it's too much. He's overpromising. FDT is overpromising Elon. These other countries, I think that's what that Four of Cups is about. Some of these countries are going to be like, we don't need that. We don't want it. All right, y'all. I hear the landscapers getting louder. I'm getting ready to wrap this up. I'm so sorry for that. It happens every time. All right. Nine of Cups. This is the tariffs, the money, the tariffs, and wanting to promise. You know, if you do this, quid pro quo, bribery, and the Knight of Swords. It is on the table, for sure. That is a conversation that's been had, and it is on the table, and it is a part of what they're going to try and offer these companies, these countries, but I don't know if they're buying, y'all. Five of Swords. I don't know if they're buying. Because at this point, what I'm getting, the suspicions around him and around what he would do, what Starlink is capable of and what he would do is too great. And here comes the Page of Cups back again. It's almost like a trust me, believe me, I got your back, but not really. And Cups again, water energy again. Meaning, I want to be clear for those of you who may not really be familiar with tarot. So when you start seeing a lot of cups in a reading, it can very often have to do with an emotional response or playing with people's emotions, and money and emotions certainly go well together. So there's but it also is, it's not finite. You know, water flows. It's not finite. This is not coming in pentacles, which would represent savings, which would represent tariffs actually being pulled back. I'm also getting that the trust factor. Could we really trust you to hold your part of the deal? Even if we agree to take Starlink, you come in here, you start, hooking up your satellites, and all of a sudden you wake up, the FDT wakes up another day and says, oops, you've done something else wrong, so guess what? I'm coming back at you with more tariffs. That's what I'm feeling. And I've got the Four of Swords. Exactly. This is a card of clarity. And there's a lack of clarity. There's a lack of belief. We don't believe you. The U.S., in terms of how other countries are looking at whether FDT can be trusted, his administration can be trusted, is like, nah. All right, you all? Okay, I'm going to save your ears, or maybe I'm just saving my own and keeping my concentration. I hope that was helpful to you all. Keep your eyes on this June 14th thing. I know we will. There's that No King's Day. I think the protests nationwide are going to be absolutely phenomenal in response to what's going to be happening in D.C. Apparently, $150 million. But you can't have no dolls. You can't have but 3 pencils to get through the school year. All right, you all. Stay safe out there. Remember, I always close out with the keep our chin up, your shoulders back, stay relaxed. Resilience, you all. And remember to breathe. All right? I'll talk to you real soon. Bye now.